In this episode, Mel jumps off a bridge, Jay flies a plane, and Benny shakes a paw.
Welcome to Home A Roam. I'm Mel.
And I'm Jay. We've just started a brand new adventure after quitting our jobs.
But before we tell you our plan, let's back this crazy train up and tell you a little bit about us and what inspired this seemingly drastic behavior. We met in 2008, and a year later we were off traveling to New Zealand on a working holiday visa. If you're not quite sure what a working holiday visa is, it's a youth visa that allows people to go to another country for a period of up to a year on average and work so that you can sustain your travel. So you get to learn a lot about another country and all its culture, completely immerse yourself into it and sustain your travel through, getting jobs here and there. So we did that to New Zealand for 1 year. And while we were there, Jason got his private pilot's license, which was totally cool.
Very exciting.
Yeah. And I basically sought out every extreme adventure sport, activity, whatever you want to call it, that I possibly could, including my first and only, I might add, bungee jump.
2, 1, good go.
If you do want to know more about working holidays, we'll include some of the links to the resources that we know of to be able to check that out.
Yeah, so after that, we traveled back to Toronto, close to our home, where we grew up, and lived there for a year. And that was an interesting taste of being like in a very busy kind of downtown core. We were literally right across from the CN Tower, so that was kind of cool. And then we moved off to France, and I got to live out my dream of living on the beach in the south of France.
It was absolutely beautiful there. We also went to Bordeaux, where we spent 3 months there learning about wine. We also traveled around other parts of Europe and Northern Africa. We went to Morocco as well to ride some camels in the Sahara Desert, which was quite interesting. Jason's camel did not really like anyone.
Okay. Including me.
Yeah. Okay. After that, we went back to Canada, actually. We went to Victoria, BC. We were planning to settle down there permanently. But
Which nobody believed.
No one believed, and they turned out to be right. We were there just long enough for Jason to propose and for me to get recruited to a job to the Caribbean on the island of St. Kitts. We spent about 2.5 years there.
Yeah, and that's where we found our little kitten, Benny. We adopted him. He was what would you call him, a stray, I guess?
One of the feral cat project groups picked him up, so we adopted him from them. They do great work.
Yeah, so Benny, he loves food, and he can even do tricks.
Yes, and he takes lots of naps, like many cats. We also planned a destination wedding to Jamaica while we were in the Caribbean, where 41 of our friends and family came and celebrated with us. And then we finally moved back to Canada again.
To settle
down again. And we've been here about 4 years now, so this is actually pretty good. The longest we've been anywhere, really.
It's true.
So we settled down in the Metro Vancouver area. We bought a house. We both got steady jobs. The mountains are really close by. The ocean is a really short drive away. We've been learning to sail. We've done lots of hiking. It's beautiful here. It's absolutely perfect.
It's definitely the best place in Canada, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Others might argue with that, but definitely our favorite place in Canada to situate.
Yeah.
So you might wonder, why move now? If it's so perfect, why would you want to go somewhere else? Well, over the Christmas holidays, we got talking a little bit just about, the traveling and reminiscing over some of our recent trips, to Tahiti, and thinking about the road trip that we did down the West Coast, and decided, you know what? we're not ready to stop moving yet. We actually want to go out and explore some more. We want to go all the way down to Mexico. We want to go up to Alaska. We want to see like all that North America has to offer.
And so Jason, with very little convincing, managed to convince me to let's do it. We very carefully reviewed our finances, and at first this was kind of a dream of, what will we do with retirement? I kind of realized, oh my gosh, we can do this now. So let's do it.
Yeah, and I mean, I worked remotely for 13 years. So in terms of working, we're not going to be fully retired. I think we're going to call it semi-retired.
That's what we're telling people.
So yeah. So I'll definitely continue to do some consulting. I'm in the software industry, so anywhere I've got an internet connection, I can work. So that's helpful. And Mel, of course, she's going to be our social media manager. And so what's our 3-part plan?
Okay, so our 3-part plan. So step 1, which we've just completed, is to quit our jobs. And check. Yes. We decided to give our employers about 60 days notice. So we are, a couple weeks from that. And that was really important for us because we didn't want to leave our employers kind of high and dry. Typically in Canada, the average is about 2 weeks notice. Jason's contract actually says 1 month. So he doubled that. I gave, about 8 weeks notice. Also because my job is quite specialized, and so I wanted to give my employers enough time to be able to find a replacement.
Our next step is going to be selling our house and buying a house out in the country in a lower cost of living area that has space enough for our new truck and our new trailer.
We're buying a travel trailer because we are going to spend 6 months of the year traveling around North America, and the other 6 months of the year kind of hanging out in our home. I guess.
Well, I'm doing just local traveling from
that's
from
a good
here.
way to put it. Local travel.
Yeah, but hanging out, with our home base.
Yeah.
And you might wonder why we didn't just decide to sell everything and just go 100% on the road. We've certainly done that before. That would have been the 4th time that we had sold all of our possessions to go on an adventure. And we decided, 3 times of selling everything is maybe enough. And we kind of wanted to have a home base where we can keep a lot of our things. And there's also just some logistical considerations of having a full-time address. Our healthcare in Canada is dependent on having a residence. And also just crossing the border into the United States, it tends to be a little bit easier, especially if you're a little bit younger and semi-retired, if you have a permanent residence in Canada and if you own a home in Canada. They just want to make sure that you're not going to be staying longer than you're supposed to. Yeah, so having a home base just has a lot of benefits just all around. And again, we didn't want to necessarily go through the whole thing of selling all of our possessions again. We have a lot of things that we kind of want to keep, and it's just nice to have that home base that you can come back to.
Yeah. So, as we mentioned, if you have any questions, comments, stories to share, whatever, please add them to the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Please hit subscribe and the notification bell so you can follow along our journey.
And remember,
When you roam, everywhere is home.